In Florida, USA, on July 14, 2012, Adrienne Roberts' roommate made a grim discovery: Adrienne's lifeless body. Despite her open eyes, she showed no signs of life. Fortunately, CCTV footage shed light on the events leading up to her demise, aiding detectives in their investigation. Welcome back to Bizarre Cases. I'm Jerry. Today, we delve into the heartbreaking case of Adrienne Roberts. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more intriguing stories. Born on January 4, 1983, in Brunswick, Maine, Adrienne was a bright presence, graduating from Leavitt High School in 2001 and the University of Maine at Augusta in 2005. Moving to Clearwater, Florida, in 2007, she radiated happiness and was eagerly planning a future with her boyfriend, Justin. Sharing a house with her friend Jay, Adrienne's life took a tragic turn on July 13, 2012, as she prepared to move in with Justin. Hosting a farewell party, Adrienne intended to spend the evening with Jay, her roommate and friend. After festivities at home, Adrienne and Jay visited the Diamond Doll strip club. In the early hours of July 14th, Jay made a chilling call to 911 upon finding Adrienne lifeless in their bathroom. Despite attempts at CPR, she couldn't be revived, and she was pronounced dead upon the ambulance's arrival. Signs of struggle hinted at a crime scene. As detectives commenced their investigation, they scoured the house for clues. No forced entry was found, and Adrienne's state of undress suggested a male perpetrator. Forensic analysis confirmed a fatal stab wound to her chest, indicating a struggle for survival. Upon inspecting Adrienne's bedroom, detectives made a disturbing discovery. A portion of her bedsheet had been cut. Suspecting an attempt to destroy evidence, they sent samples, including traces of seminal fluid, for analysis. The hunt for answers continued as detectives sought to unravel the circumstances surrounding Adrienne's tragic demise, determined to bring justice to her memory. In a startling turn of events, Adrienne's car was found missing from the parking lot adjacent to her house, prompting concerns that the perpetrator may have fled in it. Police swiftly initiated a search for potential witnesses and issued an all-points bulletin for the vehicle. As detectives delved deeper into the case, they faced the somber duty of informing Adrienne's family of the tragic news. The devastating news of Adrienne's untimely passing sent shockwaves through her family. Justin, her devoted boyfriend, discovered the grim reality when he stumbled upon the police presence at Adrienne's residence the following morning. Intuitively sensing foul play, detectives questioned Justin, a standard procedure in such cases. Hours later, Adrienne's car was located several blocks away from her home, abandoned with its headlights on and keys left in the ignition. Forensic experts meticulously combed through the vehicle for any potential evidence, while investigators turned to nearby surveillance footage in hopes of identifying the perpetrator. Despite the absence of cameras at the exact location where the car was discovered, footage from neighboring buildings provided a lead. A man fitting the description of the suspect was spotted walking away from the vehicle, wearing shorts and a baseball cap. Despite exhaustive efforts, investigators lost track of the individual's whereabouts due to limited camera coverage in the area. Witness interviews further complicated the investigation. One neighbor reported seeing Adrienne and an unidentified man running past his house late at night, an unusual sight given the circumstances. Despite the peculiar nature of the encounter, the neighbor did not initially perceive it as suspicious. To reconstruct the events leading up to Adrienne's death, detectives brought her roommate, Jay, in for questioning. Recounting their evening, Jay revealed that they visited Diamond Dolls, a local club, for a few drinks before Adrienne's tragic demise. Surveillance footage from the club confirmed their presence but provided no immediate leads. Jay recounted encountering an unfamiliar man at the club, described as African American, with distinctive facial hair. Adrienne left the club earlier than Jay, prompting detectives to focus their attention on this individual as a person of interest. As investigators combed through surveillance footage and pieced together witness accounts, they remained determined to unravel the mystery behind Adrienne's tragic end. inching closer to justice with each lead uncovered. The more discerning viewers may have noticed a discrepancy in the series of events surrounding Adrienne's final moments. Upon arriving at the club, she sported a dress and what seemed to be a jacket. However, as she left, she was only clad in the dress. Adrienne exited the club, and moments later, a man wearing a baseball cap hurried after her. His intention became apparent when he handed her the jacket she had left behind. Following this interaction, the two engaged in a conversation, the details of which remain elusive. Instead of returning to the club, the man continued to trail Adrienne. As they departed the parking lot, turning onto a sparsely populated street, one can't help but wonder if Adrienne sensed danger at that moment, though we may never know. Upon comparing the man captured on the club's CCTV footage with the individual observed near Adrienne's abandoned car, investigators determined they were distinct individuals. Considering the events leading up to her demise, they surmised that the man from the club footage was likely the culprit, while the man near the car may have been an unrelated bystander. Despite exploring various angles, law enforcement diligently pursued all leads to provide Adrienne's grieving parents with answers promptly. They traveled to Florida to gather her belongings, where detectives assured them of their unwavering commitment to apprehending and prosecuting the perpetrator. Adrienne's parents attested to her amiable nature and lack of known adversaries. She shared positive relationships with her boyfriend, Justin, and roommate, Jay. Detectives leaned towards the belief that Adrienne was not acquainted with her assailant. However, forensic analysis yielded male DNA on both the sheet and Adrienne's body, yet yielded no matches in the criminal database, leaving investigators with the genetic signature of an unknown man. As the investigation progressed, detectives revisited CCTV footage from the club, where Adrienne spent her final hours, viewing both nighttime and daytime recordings. Approximately 8 hours before her death, the same man observed conversing with her in the parking lot was identified. He arrived at the club in a taxi, the number of which was visible on the footage, leading investigators to a man named Thomas Frederick. By comparing his driver's license photo with the CCTV footage, law enforcement moved closer to cracking the case. Upon realizing that the individual captured in the footage was indeed Thomas Frederick, investigators focused their efforts on gathering irrefutable evidence before making an arrest. They clandestinely surveilled Frederick for over a week, patiently waiting for an opportunity to collect his DNA without his knowledge. Their diligence paid off when Frederick carelessly discarded a cigarette butt one day, providing law enforcement with the crucial evidence they needed. The DNA analysis from the cigarette butt conclusively linked Frederick to the crime scene, leading to his swift arrest. During interrogation, Frederick initially denied any wrongdoing, claiming to have merely shared a drink and conversation with Adrienne at the club. However, faced with mounting evidence, including eyewitness testimony and DNA findings, Frederick's story crumbled. In a last-ditch effort to deflect blame, he alleged that he and Adrienne had engaged in consensual activity, but the evidence overwhelmingly pointed to his culpability in her tragic demise. According to Frederick, the situation escalated when Adrienne, feeling unwell, vomited in the bathroom. He said they started to fight at some point, and then she pulled out a knife, threatened him, and attempted to stab him. In what he claimed was an act of self-defense, the confrontation resulted in Adrienne's death. Frederick asserted that he panicked, unsure of what to do, and chose to flee instead of calling 911, stating that he knew he would be held responsible for Adrienne's death. Thomas Frederick was charged by the police with first-degree deprivation of life. In January 2014, he appeared in court for the trial. During the proceedings, the prosecutor outlined his version of the events on the night of the incident. Adrienne and Jay had consumed alcohol at home before heading to Diamond Dolls in high spirits. At the club, Thomas Frederick joined them at their table, appearing as an ordinary person. They chatted casually and were just relaxing. The following day, Adrienne, with plans to move her things to her new house with Justin, decided to leave early, while Jay decided to stay back at the club. Seizing this opportunity, Frederick followed her, despite her reluctance. Adrienne attempted to run away from him, but he pursued her all the way to her home. Once inside, he forcibly entered, retrieved a knife from the kitchen, and committed the violent act he had been pursuing. According to the prosecutor, the injuries on Adrienne's body suggested non-consensual activity with Frederick. Fearing potential repercussions, he decided to end her life, attempting to cover his tracks by cutting out a portion of the sheet containing his seminal fluid. However, this did not prevent the police from discovering the criminal's DNA in various places, including on Adrienne's body. Subsequently, Frederick took Adrienne's car keys, drove a few blocks, and abandoned the vehicle. Adrienne's parents chose to leave the courtroom during the medical examiner's statement, expressing their emotional distress. Mark Robert, Adrienne's father, expressed his pain, stating that learning about the details of her won't bring her back. He emphasized the challenging journey they faced without their daughter, noting that it would take time to heal. On the other hand, Thomas Frederick's defense attempted to tarnish Adrienne's image during the trial, suggesting that she had invited him for consensual intercourse. However, this baseless version was viewed as an attempt by the perpetrator to justify his presence in the victim's house. The undeniable evidence, including DNA pointing to only one person, contradicted the defense's claims. Efforts to convince the jury that Frederick acted in self-defense failed, leading to the jury finding him guilty of first-degree deprivation of life and stealing Adrienne's car. Due to a lack of evidence, he was not accused of forcing her into intimacy by threatening her with a knife. The court sentenced the 25-year-old Thomas Hampton Frederick to life in prison without parole. Adrienne's father expressed relief upon hearing that Frederick would spend the rest of his life behind bars. While it could not bring Adrienne back, he felt that justice had been served. Being in the same room with the man who murdered his daughter was emotionally challenging, as Frederick displayed no sympathy or remorse. The court's verdict brought tears to Adrienne's family, who appreciated the support they received during this difficult time from the police, the prosecutor, and everyone who stood by them. All right, guys, that wraps up our video for today. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up as always.